Everyone, this is Michelle Ponowazik, and this is my short discussion submission about narrative inquiry in relation to the podcast we listen to. What I find most fascinating about narrative inquiry is it's about the human experience. I've always enjoyed storytelling. I wish I could do more of it in my life, and maybe I still can. How's that? I hope to do more of that moving forward. And so this example really was about the human experience of the gentleman Bo who was the captive, but also the people surrounding him, his fellow uh, troops, and the rest of, frankly, the world in a way, American society, the Taliban as well. And the author, Sarah, she used a lot of audio clips to weave different narratives together to tell this story, and they were very, very powerful. She has the clip in there where she was explaining how the screen producer and Bo talked about the Taliban and motorcycles and the existence of God and how good spicy salsa is and how the memory works and what a soldier should be and shouldn't be. And that was indicative of one having a true artifact of their audio clip, but also the relationship that's built when you do a narrative inquiry. Essentially, I look at Mark Bull, the screen producers, as also conducting a narrative inquiry in other terms, and he's building that relationship with Bo. So very, very important. And then also the value of those research texts that came from, I'm sure she has plethora of audio clips, and then she chose a few specific ones as she developed this podcast, and they were very chilling. When they talked about, Bo was telling the story about the dark room, and he says, "I hate doors now." In the way that he said that, what just brought chills down my bones. And so those research texts were very powerful and poignant. And she also brought herself into the story, as our textbook explains, that if you're going to do a narrative inquiry, be prepared to be part of the story. And she remembered the book Zoom that she would read to her children when they were growing up. And then that just gave more context to what I was experiencing in thinking about Bo's story. Another point where she brought herself in was when she said, "I picture him standing there. I imagine a free floating astronaut, no comforting tether attaching him to the mothership," when Bo was describing being out in the desert after he initially left his post. And then if this were to be a case study, it would be, to me, I would look at it as an instrumental case study. I would be curious to find out about the relationships between the other soldiers, just in general, the relationships between soldiers. So I would want to do interviews and study the individual stories of the soldiers. And then what is it like when you have someone leave and abandon, and how important are the relationships in the army, and then what is the army doing, or the military, pardon me, doing to strengthen the relationships if that's what needed. And I'm sure that's going to be pretty insightful if anyone were to do that, and I'm sure they already have, because there's so much research out there. So that's my take on this podcast and narrative inquiry and case studies. Have a great week.